So how do we communicate with patients today? How do patients find us? You know, I'm a little bit beyond the millennial plastic surgery age group, but I communicate in the millennial world. Now, Elizabeth and Ira Savetsky, actually, they're living it. Ira, of course, is a plastic surgeon, and of course, here's a real social influencer. You know, many people think they are, but Lizzie is one. So I think it's great to have you here. And when I was growing up in plastic surgery, it was like the website was a big thing, and that was like the end all do all. Now it's kind of like that's where people land. So what do you do to find out where to go and what to see in your world?
It's so interesting because I feel like when websites first came onto the forefront of the marketing picture, it was taboo to have one.
Oh yeah,
and
in some places it still is.
Oh,
yeah.
Which is crazy because you have to be in it to win it. I
Right.
mean, and if
You
you're
have to
not where
be-
the eyeballs are, then
Exactly. You have to be. That's your one way to be visible today. But now it's way beyond the website.
it is, and it's unfortunate in some ways because I do feel like they're the most talented, most qualified plastic surgeons aren't necessarily the ones with the social media skills. And there is
In
this,
fact, that's a vast majority.
and it's so unfortunate because there are so many underqualified, maybe even people who aren't surgeons, maybe people who aren't even doctors that have these social media accounts that know what they're doing in terms of social media marketing and maybe aren't qualified to be doing the operations that they're doing. And people don't know. Consumers like me, other than the fact that I'm married to a plastic surgeon, but consumers out there and the general public don't know who is qualified and who is not, and who's board certified and who is not. If you had asked me if I wasn't married to a plastic surgeon, if I would have known what board certification meant, no. I'm looking on Instagram and I'm seeing the before and after
Right.
pictures.
You know who that is?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, and maybe I'm not looking into it because maybe I heard so-and-so celebrity allegedly went there.
You're so enamored with that, right? No, I mean,
yeah,
right.
yeah, it's true though. No, but it's true. So it makes it very complicated because we don't know who is the real deal.
Yeah, and I actually am a newcomer to social media, but I follow all
I
of
think you know what
these
you're doing.
people, and some are plastic surgeons and some are not, and sometimes I wonder, wow, this isn't a plastic surgeon, and I find out that he or she is really not even a dermatologist or anybody. They're like a family doctor. So how do we sort this out? I mean, what do we?
Well, I think it's really important for the younger generation, or actually everybody, but particularly the younger ones, to get on social media and to educate and to learn from professionals like you, if they're not so comfortable, to learn what to do and how to do it and how to do it well. Because otherwise we're going to lose out. And that's going to be a big problem. And we've seen that a lot in our specialty already with other areas, and we don't want to lose out in more areas of plastic surgery.
And I really think that educational tools in the realm of social media is the number one thing that I would suggest. Just that plastic surgeons not only should be worried about their surgical skills, but they should be worried about their social media skills. And maybe it should become a part of the standard curriculum in terms of building up a business and a practice.
I totally agree. That's why we're having this conversation, because we're not educated in business till we get out, and this is an essential part of business. So,
This is a business.
so what are the basic building blocks, Lizzie, that we need to know for becoming social media savvy? Let's start with the basics. I mean, everybody kind of knows that you need to have a basic platform of a website, which is a landing page. So, what else do you think? What do you look at?
Well, I think that the eyeballs these days are on Instagram. I think that's where the up and coming generation is. I think that's where your future and current patients are.
Right.
That's where they're going to get to know you as a person and as a physician. And so I think you're missing an opportunity if you're not really cultivating that audience. And I think the best way to do that is to just be out there posting frequently, posting high quality content. It's about quantity and quality.
And be you, right?
Yes,
like
100%
you
authentic.
are you. Before
Right.
I met you, when I met you, I thought I knew you.
Right.
So you got to be you. You can't.
And you
can't fake it.
No,
till you
and
make
you
it.
also can't hand over the reins to somebody else, which
I
is
don't-
something a lot of people want to do.
And I can tell when they do. I can tell that in
Yeah.
plastic surgeons in LA that have handed it over. it also then too much music.
It doesn't feel. It feels disingenuous.
Right.
It does. Yeah.
So be real, be yourself, post good stuff that your mother would want to see, right?
Right.
I mean,
Right. Communicate with your audience. Engage. You know. I mean, I think this is such an amazing opportunity to get to talk to your prospective patients and to have an open dialogue and to even talk with your fellow plastic surgeons about all sorts of things. You know, maybe I think it's a community building situation.
right. So Ira, you're going to be going out there, so
You gotta get out there. I think it's really, really important. I'm lucky that I have a resource that lives with me, but it's not everyone is that lucky, and I think
Right.
it's really, really important. And you know, we just have to get out there. You got to show good content, and I think it's important for us as plastic surgeons to have a strong voice on social media because we're a minority, and that's,
Totally.
and we've shown that in the journal over and over again that we're a minority, and we need to have a strong voice. We got to show good quality, high quality, and be out there.
Right, and we need our organizations. I know the Aesthetic Society and ASPS are in there, but I think we can do more.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of repetitive things going. And so what about the big kahuna, Facebook? I mean, that's still very, very important. Everybody hates Facebook, but you know, that's still the biggest, it's still the biggest thing out there, is it not?
I do think so, and I mean, it's definitely a little bit of an older audience, not to say old.
You mean
I'm
anywhere
calling
over
out
40?
old.
Okay.
But no, but I
Thanks,
think
Lizzie. No.
no, but it's just another.
No.
It's another example of like you have to be in the game there, but you have to be ahead of the game too with you know what's going on in Instagram or Snapchat or whatever. You have to be ahead and see what's happening. But I do think that Facebook is an amazing resource because you can post videos and there's no link. You can post links to videos.
And you can link your Instagram since Instagram is
Totally.
owned by Facebook.
Right.
Yes.
So what would you put in Facebook? I mean, Instagram is for the here and the day, and the what do you do in Facebook?
We were just talking about this. I think it's great for video content. I think it's great for posting links to the articles that you've written or articles that you think are relevant to your practice.
I think Facebook, you could also, not that Facebook, you could almost, I would say, pollute it a little more in the sense that
you can overpost.
you could overpost. For Instagram, if you overpost, people are going to get kind of annoyed, I think.
Right. I think the general rule has been one or max two a day max.
Right.
Agree.
Right.
Instagram, you can do 1 or 2 posts, but stories can be unlimited.
Exactly.
But people can get
Those are
tired of it
free.
if they're the same.
They do.
And at least when I do stuff on Instagram, I mean, I rarely put that on. I don't automatically do it because that's too much.
It's too,
And so,
Yeah.
and I do more kind of general broadcast things of, you know, what I do versus kind of the Instagram story of the day.
Right.
And but I think it's still important. When I look at the data, Facebook's still the big one.
Well,
Right.
So you have to have a face on Facebook.
You
Do you
do.
agree?
Oh yes, 100%. I think
And
so.
I do think that, I mean, you can use it to your advantage if you're trying to build a facelifting practice, facial rejuvenation. I mean, they're going to be on Facebook.
Yeah.
More so than Instagram.
Yeah, you want to target every age bracket, right? So each age bracket, I feel like, has their social media world.
Right.
And I think you have to be on all of them.
Right. So the 18 to 35 is Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And then above 35 to 40 is more Facebook.
And below 18 is more like Snapchat,
Snapchat,
TikTok, which we're learning about.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Should we
learning
be
about it.
on Snapchat or TikTok? I've tried Snapchat.
I don't know. I
Is
mean,
it-
are you targeting like an under 18 audience? Probably not. So I would say maybe it's not that crucial. Like there are.
However, the under 18 audience is going to be over 18 soon. They're probably going to still use
That's
these.
true.
That's
And
true.
Snapchat there's all these limitations we should talk about. Snapchat doesn't have the limitations that Instagram and Facebook does on, you know, doing all of the surgical procedures without, you know,
Censoring.
censoring. And Instagram, which I think is probably a good thing.
Right.
Has
Instagram
that.
and Facebook has it even more so.
Right.
So those are things to know. I'm not on it, Snapchat.
Yeah.
much.
But and then there's also, let's just talk about the time commitment involved. So I mean, you guys are working really hard. You're working very long hours. I know you're out of the house by 5 a.m. a lot of the time. So like, you know, you have to prioritize what you're going to put your energy into. And so if it would be great to be on all of it, but at the end of the day, you have to make a list of what's actually going to translate into patient growth and just reputation and name growth and branding. And I think you have to make it, because you can't do it all. It's just not possible.
So Lizzie, so I would say, Facebook is a baseline, is a landing page. Make it very colorful, and very basic. But
more so than your website, that's going to be your landing page.
Right.
Yeah.
That's your landing page for where everybody feeds into, and that's what you should probably build on your SEO. And then Instagram for telling who you are, what you do. Facebook for things that are coming up or that you've done. And then what about Twitter?
Twitter is a good tool to use. I get most of my news from Twitter. I mean, a lot of people think our president was elected because of Twitter. So
well, it's pretty interesting.
You can't ignore it.
No, you can't ignore it. And I use it as a news feed for our journal, and I use it when I want to talk about things, from the journal, or even things that we're doing or broadcasting events coming up, or like if I'm in a meeting, I will post something on what we're doing at the meeting. But it is a news feed. It's not, but it's an essential news feed hybrid, right? It's not necessarily, but is it essential for a plastic surgeon?
I think so. I think especially in terms, I don't think that it needs to be something that consumes a lot of your time. I would use it when you have a new article out, or you have a new blog post out, or there's something trending in your field.
Right.
I would use it for those specific things. I wouldn't use it as just like a daily source of sharing your daily life. Like, I don't think that it's necessary for that. I would put that energy towards Instagram.
Yeah, the main limitation is Twitter's words primarily is characters.
Right.
Plastic surgery is so visual, and that's why Instagram does so well in plastic surgery, because it's very visually oriented. So Twitter is definitely limited in that sense. But I think it's good for
articles. I think it's also good for news, the plastic surgery community as a whole to communicate with each other, as opposed to like the plastic surgeons communicating with their patients.
Right, I agree. Yeah. That's it. And it kind of, Instagram tells a story about that surgeon. I look at their posts, I can kind of tell whether they're doing a lot of this one surgery, if they're doing faces and noses, and also it's good to have personal things in there occasionally.
Oh, totally. I mean, I was just saying that I think it's amazing because, just a few short years ago, somebody like me would have had to go travel to somebody's office, pay a huge fee for a consult, and now I don't have to do that. I'm getting to know whatever potential plastic surgery I'm going to use just from logging on to Instagram, and that's amazing.
Right. What about patient reviews?
Right. I mean, there's pros and cons to these types of things, right? Because, but I think that the best thing about social media is that you can take control of your own voice. Whereas on Yelp or something like that, you can't talk back to these people. Right. Not that you would talk back to them, but I think you're in the driver's seat.
Right, and plus we all know that if you truly have honest reviews, no one's ever perfect.
Yeah.
I'm always worried about the guy that has 100 great Google reviews or something, or 500 good Yelp. That's not true.
Yeah.
And because that's just human nature. So, but then you can go and see that person and say, hey, that's a pretty good person on Instagram, right?
Yeah, you can actually go look into them.
Right, you say,
they're not Joe from Michigan.
Right,
it's like a real person.
Nothing wrong with Michigan,
No, we love Michigan.
I was at the University of Michigan. I was there. But so I would say, the consumer, Lizzie, should use all those to find a real plastic surgeon.
And I think that the key is also not just to stop at Instagram, but once you found this doctor that you find to be, talented, charismatic, to have the certification you think you see, to then go and do your homework and do your research and log on to the websites and Google and And I think if you don't follow up, you're really going to be in trouble, because that's where you can find the difference between who's a fake, who's a phony, and who's the real deal.
Right, because everybody's famous on their Instagram and their website.
Totally.
Right.
100%.
Right.
Yeah, you can. It's all curated at the end of the day. That's the truth. When you're the one putting out the content, you put out what you want to put out. So, it's important to go back and check, do a little behind the scenes work as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, no, I agree. So I think we've covered Facebook, we've covered Twitter, Instagram.
We didn't talk about YouTube, but I do think that YouTube is a great
Well,
to
how
control
do
as
you
well.
how would you use YouTube? I think that YouTube is probably, well, it's the conduit to Google, since Google owns it. So I really think that people should, I mean, I don't use YouTube as much as I should because I use Instagram TV, which is nothing
Right.
compared to YouTube,
Right.
but you can move it from Instagram TV to YouTube,
Right.
which is a huge, because it's Google.
Yeah, and you may as well multiply your, it takes
Your
very
effort.
little effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
We can
so-
do it in a few minutes.
Yeah, just
We do.
transfer the content to, because you never know who's going to be on what platform. And I do think, like, in terms of plastic surgery, that video has become way more important than photos, just because a lot of people doctor their photos. People play tricks with lighting, people play tricks with angles. They have the patient smile or frown or whatever, and you never know what you're really seeing. And so with video, you can't lie.
You can't lie.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where Instagram TV and YouTube do, have a lot of value.
Yeah.
And patients are starting to pick up on that. I think they're going to start looking for video a lot more because
definitely.
you see people are posting after shots with selfies from that patients send them. I mean, it's
filtered selfies.
filtered selfies,
So
makeup,
it's not
all
reality.
this.
Yeah.
I know,
So-
the pre-op,
Yeah.
in the doctor's offices, the post-ops on the beach,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, those are ones I would say beware.
Yeah.
And, those smiling, because everybody looks good smiling, and their oblique view and all this
Right.
stuff. So I think those are all things that people need to know about. But, the consumer has actually become very, very savvy.
Yeah.
I mean, today, and so we need to contribute to them
Yeah.
being smart.
Yeah, 100%.
And that means us being smart, right?
Exactly.
That's what we got Lizzie
Guys,
here.
do your homework.
Yeah, do your homework. All right, well, that was awesome.
All right.
I hope that was helpful to all of you.